Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Bork. In today's video, we'll be covering some beginner resources for World Flipper. Don't forget to sub and leave a like if you enjoyed today's video. First things being is on the App Store, expected release date September 10th, 2021. Originally this said August 11th, 2021, but now it's this. Anyways, if we jump into this progression guide right here by @nem420, this was provided on the Discord. So this is a link. I recommend joining this Discord. This Discord is going to have all sorts of information and it's probably going to be the hub that you want to be in order to get all of the latest info regarding World Flipper. All right. Now, when it comes to like the actual progression of this game, there's 3 slots that we need to pay attention to when it comes to your party, which is going to be your leader slot, your sub slot, and then your main slots. It's a little bit weird how it's like, I guess, sort of stated, but let's go ahead and jump into the game so you guys can see it. So there's going to be lots of reroll guides. It's going to be a little confusing, but this is going to be the leader slot, the one with like the little leader red bar sort of thing right there. And these are going to be your main slots. This is the main character that you can get in the game. So in case you want to have an easier time rerolling, I guess you could sort of go for a fire team. This is red, this is a fire team. And then these are going to be your sub slots. Your sub slots are essentially extra modifiers to your skills. Let's go ahead and jump into some gameplay so you can sort of get a feel for what I'm talking about. I can talk about this all day long, but you won't understand until you see it, because games are much just better understood when you actually play them. I feel like talking about a game, you sound like a crazy person. Let's jump right into this. One of the first things being is this is a pinball game. All right, we have it on auto and the skills are also set to auto. Now this game looks very simplistic, but if you actually turn it off auto, if you want to, you can sort of click like the flippers, I guess that's what you want to call it, and then you also have an extra dash in case you want to play on manual, right? So you can flip and then you can dash one time in case you want to do that. But let's go ahead and do this on auto. Now these bars right here, these 3 ones, these are how fast you can generate skills, or essentially your skill meters in some ways, right? As soon as these things fill up, you can essentially use your skills, and that's one of the things, or that's how some teams are centered around, where you can generate these skills. Some teams are also centered around, you know, using like these flippers. There's like skill, like power flip, multi-ball, all sorts of different teams that you can run, but essentially you're gonna want to stay on auto because it's pretty good like how the AI sort of fights this game, but it's up to you. So there you can see that's the first skill that we can use, and right there you can see that there were 2 skills used. So there's this actual skill from the character and then there's the sub skill, and as you can see there, it was a little quick, but those were like the things that you need to pay attention to. And when it comes to the sub skills, ideally you match them to the element, but one thing I want to showcase is I'm not matching like the sub skills to like the actual element. So for example, this is like a fire team, but I have like lightning and then like light units or white units. I don't know what to call them. Yeah, I'm just gonna call them white units. But anyways, that's like how my team is oriented. So this is gonna be another guide by Pecan, by the way, and the teams he suggests, they're all mono, right? So one of the things I don't want us to focus on early on is that you have to be really set on just having a mono team like on your main team. That's fine, but don't get like really focused on the sub slots at the very beginning or the unison stuff. But the most important part is you are essentially getting 5 stars and you're running the units that you want to run for a particular element. Eventually you're going to want like one of each team that you can sort of run. That's one way to sort of look at it. When it comes to this, the easiest team to build apparently is like this darkness team right here, and just note that there are ratings where it becomes like A+, S, so on and so forth. Personally speaking, like the most future-proof one is all of them except for some of like the wind units. I forget which wind unit got nerfed, but yeah, you can see here's like a B+ on this team in particular, and most of the teams, as you can see, they're all like A+ and S. Now I can't talk about the like why these are ratings like this way. So for example, this one is rated B. I'm sure like if you want to actually understand like the ratings, you should talk to Pecan about it. He's the one who wrote the guide. I'm just looking at this at face value. Personally, I would just go for the general suggested units and build teams from there, and then sort of understand, if you look at the progression guides, there's going to be other teams that you can sort of run. There's going to be like power flip teams, there's going to be fever teams which focus on increasing the continuous damage you deal to the boss. So you're constantly hitting the boss, you're constantly generating fever, and you're not decreasing the amount of damage that you deal, right? That's what fever is all about. And there's going to be like multi-hit or multi-ball, where you're essentially launching like multiple balls at the actual boss. There's penetration teams, there's float teams, and you you can see like all the different descriptions for the team. So the thing that I want to focus on right now, because we don't have to be like, oh, I need to build this team, I need to get all these units. There's going to be a lot of variety when it comes to the world of World Flipper. There's going to be so many different teams. It's going to be a little bit overwhelming at first, but just note, focus on ideally getting one of these 5-star units. If you're going to go for a fire team, I recommend Rolf just because he increases overall fire's output. And then you can also check out other parts of the actual Google spreadsheets. These are going to be ratings for JP limited characters. You don't really want to look at that. You want to look at non-limited. And you can see that there's ratings for leaders, and then there's ratings for the actual like support slots, and then there's ratings for the main slots. I think the ones that you guys really need to pay attention to, and this is me just telling you like how to read like this chart, is the leader slots and main slots. All right, and just note that you can scroll to the right. Note that Hanabi right here is a 9.5 as a leader, and what's really interesting is if you actually go to Hanabi, you can see here she is as one of the top leaders, but she is also a 4-star. All right, so there's a lot of room for characters who aren't like, you know, they have to be 5-star in order to be viable, but you have to look at their leader characteristics, where at the start of the battle the skill gauge of the fire character is plus 100% and attack power is plus 30%. So as soon as you start the fight, I guess everyone's gonna have like extra skill gauge, which is really good, so you can instantly trigger all of your skills. So that makes her an excellent unit, even though she's gonna be a 4-star. But as you can see here, as a main and DPS role, she's not gonna be the greatest. So it's one of those things. I guess she would be really cool if you had like a burst sort of thing, but you got to pay attention to like how these ratings work. I'm not gonna be like, hey, you have to pull for someone, because I haven't built enough teams, but you can sort of use this as a diagram in case you guys are curious. Now, what's really different about World Flipper when it comes to other PvE games is that there is a heavy focus on grinding bosses and then getting like these green and blue mana. So here's gonna be like all the different elemental materials that you can get, and just note these elemental material, they're gonna be used to essentially upgrade your characters. So if you go to one of your characters right here, let's go to this dude. This is gonna be like sort of like their skill tree, right? And then if you go deeper into it, and let's say you want this one, you can see this is sort of like the element that you have to run. So you would run this dungeon. They look sort of similar. Like this is like a red jewel gem thing, and then this is going to be a red jewel gem thing. So you're going to be grinding out like these elemental materials. You're going to be farming stars from the bosses. You're going to be bell raids. These are going to be like chapter orbs that you get within the game as you're going through story. And then here are going to be some labyrinth weapons and non-EX weapons. And then most of it is going to be actually going into co-op and fighting bosses. So you can see there's a sort of progression map as to which bosses that you would fight over time. And I think that's what makes this game so interesting, is because of the fact that you're going to be farming boss battles as you're progressing through the game. So you can get like all of these super good weapons. Just note that it's very interesting how, you know, you use certain weapons, power flip and skill damage. I'm sort of more aligned with the fact that I want to use something like the multi-ball team, because multi-ball teams are pretty fun. Multi-ball is essentially multiple pinballs floating around at the same time, but it's up to you how you want to play, like I said. But that's going to be like the general interest when it comes to this game, is because of the fact that there's always going to be content. There's always going to be cool bosses to fight. There's going to be crazy progression when it comes to like weapons and stuff. Yes, there's going to be like a weapon gacha, but this game is completely free to play friendly. There is no PvP, and end game is mostly, I guess, upgrading weapons and going for weapons and heart weapon scrolls, as you can see right there. And these are like all the different weapons that you can get. Note that we're not going to be talking about soul, because that's an entirely different topic. But here you can see here's like a leader slot, a weapon slot, and a sub slot, and then main slots. All right, when it comes to covering World Flipper, just note like this is probably going to help you out as to who you would want to reroll for, in case you want a particular element. In case you want to sort of future proof yourself, there is no real way, in my opinion, as the limited characters are insanely good. For example, Anniversary Regis, this guy is absolutely insane for thunder units. And then there's like, you know, other units like Christmas Bianca. There's just going to be limited units are going to be the best units in the game. Not to mention there's like a ReZero collab, in case you're sort of interested in that stuff. And there is going to be Princess Connect in this game as well, in case you're interested. I feel like a large part of the audience will like this game if you are familiar with Guardian Tales, but just note that this is more of an auto-friendly game in some ways, in case you sort of want to play that way. But you can definitely play on manual and have a great time like sort of tackling killing all the bosses. But I just wanted to go over all these resources when it comes to the actual game and how to read some of these charts, because it is kind of intimidating to jump in here and being like, oh my goodness, do I need to roll like this entire team in order to start the game? It's like, no, you just roll one of these, and then if you have a lot of fire units, then you could run this team. Or if you roll one of these characters, then you can run these water teams. Or if you roll one of like these yellow units, you can run like these lightning units. That's the way I want us to take a look at the guides, because I don't want people to roll for 3 or 4 or 5 characters at once, because then you're just going to be stuck in reroll hell and then you'll never be able to play this game. But anyways, if you made it this far in today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment. Once we hit 27,500 subs, we'll be doing a giveaway. Hopefully these resources help you. I believe like the Discord channels are super helpful over here in World Flipper, so make sure to check them out. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourself a fantastic day, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.